Okay, so in this video, I will be reviewing BOSS Linux, which is an acronym for BHARAT Operating System Solutions, which was built by the Center of Advanced and Digital Computing here at Pune, or I think Chennai, but CDAC actually is from Pune originally. So this is going to be a long one, and I will put the timestamps in the description. So before we actually delve into the areas of review, I want to give a pre-installation information, pre-installation talk. So the version of BOSS Linux I am reviewing is BOSS 8, codename Unnati, and for those who are really interested, it means progress in Hindi. So you can get the official ISO on their website, and the file size is around 2.93 gigs, and you can always go ahead, burn it into a USB, make it a bootable, and install it, or you can always boot it live from the USB. Now I have physically installed it on my machine here. So whatever you want to do, you can always physically install it or run it live from the USB. The next thing that is really important is that BOSS Linux is based on Debian. So that is a piece of information you would want to know. So now let's quickly walk through the five main areas of review that I will be talking about. So the first will be the installation procedure. Second will be the first impression, which you already have on your screens right now, but more of that later. The third will be the customizations available here in BOSS Linux. The fourth will be the software bundle, and lastly we will talk about the development tools available here. So let's first talk about the installation procedure. So installation is pretty similar to Debian. The color scheme is different, but yeah, it's similar to Debian. But in comparison, it is more simple and more fast. So in my opinion, new user with little computer knowledge can install BOSS Linux. Now yes, if you are installing BOSS Linux as a primary OS on a machine, then it's easy. But if you are installing as a dual boot like I have done here, then you need actually some basic disk partitioning knowledge. But otherwise the installation is easy, it's not too much. And I think the reason for that is that Debian provides a lot of choices, which in this case, in BOSS's case, aren't available. For example, let's talk about the desktop environment. So Debian lets you choose n number. You want maybe GNOME, you want KDE, you want Cinnamon, you want XFC, you want any desktop environment, and you can install it on Debian. But here in BOSS, many things are decided. So for example, the desktop environment here is pre-decided. So that is the reason why I think Debian gets a bit complicated at times. But the lack of choices is one thing which makes BOSS installation easy. Now let's come to the second area of review, which is the first impression. So you already have the first impression by looking at your screen right now. Here we have a Cinnamon desktop, which is pretty much what you can only choose during the installation procedure. And in BOSS 7, which was codename I think Drishti, there was a GNOME desktop environment. However, from BOSS 8 onwards, they have introduced Cinnamon. So I think it's pretty intuitive for new users coming from Windows environment. The things here are pretty much similar to Windows, so that decision, I think, from my side is welcomed. Now let's take a look. Since I talked about new users coming, the shortcuts work pretty much similar to Windows. Your Windows E opens your file browser, and the taskbar below is the same. You have your time, you have your power, you have your networks, you have your users, sound, Bluetooth, all of that stuff. But there are a few things that came to my notice that I want to talk about. And before that, I would also like to tell you that the shortcuts for Linux users, for maybe other Linux users who have come to this distribution, so you alternate Control Alternate T opens your terminal. So all these things are pretty much available, and I like it. But the few things that came to my mind, that crossed my mind, was the first thing: if you come to your network, you see that your network card is not detected. And I want to tell you that this is the same machine which I have run Windows 10, Ubuntu 16, 18, 20, many other distributions, and they all seem to, now of course there are distributions, for example BHARAT KDE, which do not detect the network card, but again that is a different that topic is for a different video. But here BOSS Linux doesn't recognize your network card. So there are two solutions to get internet here. The first is to attach a wireless network adapter, and when I do that, I want to show you what happens. It actually shows firmware is missing, so that is another issue. Now of course we can get the firmware, but that again is a topic for another video. So the second solution to get your internet here is by sharing your internet. Now if you have your actually it's by wireless wired means, by via LAN cable. So if you have your router in an accessible place, you can go ahead and connect your router. Otherwise you can share your internet from another computer, and again that is a topic for another video. So this is one thing that came to my mind. Second thing that I want to talk about is the security. So the security here I think is really very good. Like you can see probably here on the screen, the login requires you to enter your username. So that I think adds another layer of security, which major distributions actually don't do. So the prompt to actually put in your username before your password, that also gives additional security layer. Another thing I want to show you is, like if you are on a dual boot system and you want to access the drives of your other operating system, then also you need to enter your password. You need to authenticate the procedure. So this I think is a very good step. This is a very good thing here in BOSS Linux. So security wise I think the security isn't compromised, and this is what usually new users are really concerned about, as in your security usually in Windows is compromised, but here it is not. So now that we have already talked about the first impression, let's talk about the customizations available. So the first thing is, the very first visual impression you get is the wallpaper, of course. So let's take a look at the wallpapers available. So there are only two official BOSS Linux wallpaper. The first is what you already saw, and the second is this. And every other wallpaper that you see here available is all Debian. It's all official Debian, or I don't know it's official or unofficial, but it is Debian wallpapers. So we only have two options for BOSS Linux. I'll go ahead with the first one because that is pretty decent in my opinion. Now let's go ahead to system settings and take a look at the customizations they give. So we already talked about the background. Let's talk about the effects available. So all these things are pretty much the same in Windows, but these effects style is something that is different that you would want to see. So I'll talk about a few different effect styles. So for example, check out how the window appears and then how it disappears. And another one that I really liked was this fancy scale. So it appears like this and disappears like this. So I'd go with the fly up down. You can always go ahead and check the others, but I'll go with this. And there are a lot of other customization settings for this effect in particular, but in my opinion I like it, so I'm not going to change any of these. Now coming back, we have your fonts. I don't want to change the fonts because I think these fonts are universally present in most Linux distributions, and they do justice to your work, right? So we don't want to change. You can always go ahead and change, but I'm happy with these. Now talking about the themes available, so this is a topic that I wanted to touch. These are the default themes that you get, and I really want to change them because they are not so intuitive. Like for example, if you come here, the Windows border, the colors do not blend in with the border, and then it's even for a advanced user, like I was talking about new Windows users finding it awful, but even for advanced Linux users this isn't good. So we can go ahead and change it. A lot of things here are not pre-installed. I have installed them. I'll show you how to install them in a bit. But yeah, so this adapter Nocto is pretty much Japanese. So this adapter Nocto is what comes by default. You can go ahead and change it with this. This is pre-installed, or you can go with Menta. This is also pre-installed. I installed Chrome OS, so I like this is nice. This is also good. But right now I will settle with something, probably this. Or no, this is also not so good, so I'll go with Greybirds. No, I think Chrome OS is nice. Yeah. Now okay, this is iOS X. Okay, anyways, okay, screw it, I'll just go with Chrome OS. So it is pretty much similar to this adapter Nocto, just with a better blend in. Now the icons available are also, these are the icons that are pre-installed. There is a Windows icon available here, but I think I'll just go with the default. These are also, again, most of them are not pre-installed. I installed them, but I think most of them work fine, so I'm not going to change any of them. The mouse pointer is also fine in my opinion. The desktop theme is what we want to change. So again, most of these are not pre-installed. I installed them. Adapter Nocto, again, this Japanese thing is what we get by default. I went ahead to install these BOSS Windows. It is very buggy. There is this C Blue, which is nice. There's this Windows XP, which is again buggy. A lot of these which you can go ahead and see. Now these two, the Cinemox themes are pretty nice, but the color theme is something not of my preference. Again, that is personal taste. But after going through a lot of these, I decided to settle on Vivaldi because it is pretty nice in my opinion. So how can you install these themes? You have to go to add and remove. Of course, this needs an internet connection, and you just have to click on this button wherever you like, whatever you like, and you can go ahead and install them. Now there are a bunch of settings here as well, which I don't want to select, so it is fine. You can always go ahead and check them. Now let's come to the preferences available. So the accessibility is something that you would want to see. So for example, you have your contrast expander, you have your text expander, you have your screen reader, which probably should like this. I don't need it, so I'm going to disable. You have your keyboard, typing assistant, mouse, which you can always go ahead and change. I'm happy with what I have. Here's your account details. Here's the list of your apps. Yeah, this is a bit buggy. Like you see, it always says screen reader off after 5 minutes. So again, okay, coming back to the applets. So here are the applets which you can set up, enable. Here's your date and time settings. Here is your desklets. Desklets are these things are called desklets. So you can always go ahead and select them. Here's your desktop, what you want on your desktop. Here are the extensions, which you need, of course, internet connection for these. You can go ahead and download from here, and you need to update this, so you want to press yes. I don't want to update it as of now, so I'll just go back. General settings, which are pretty much fine, we don't want to change that. You can always go ahead and see. Hot corners is something that is new. I think it's not available in other desktop environments like KDE or GNOME. So what this does is, like, you know, in Windows, if you bring your cursor to the bottom right, it shows the desktop. Now we already have a show desktop icon here, but this is what this does essentially. You can come down here and it will show your desktop. You hit here again and it comes back to the window which you were in. So I'll just leave this enabled. It's nice, it's fun. These are your notifications. Online accounts, I don't have any. This is your panel. The panel is this thing which shows your desktop, your preferred applications for different tasks, for example for your internet, for your like this. So I'll come to the applications when we discuss the fourth area of review. Now privacy settings, screensaver, startup applications, your Windows. Yeah, now this is one thing I want to discuss. So now if you come from Ubuntu environment, you would want your maximize minimize buttons to be on the left. So if you saw on Ubuntu 18 or 20, you need to install the GNOME tweaks tool, but here it is pretty much built in. So what you can do is make this close, this is maximize, and this is minimize, and you can put the menu here. So my maximize minimize close comes to the left and my menus come on the right. So without installing any tweak tool, you can just do it. It's built in. This is something that I personally liked about this. Now you want to look at your Windows styling. I don't think I want to change anything here. Your workspaces, I don't work with workspaces. I usually work in one workspace, so it's fine. Here are your hardware settings for Bluetooth, your color schemes, your display. In display, now if your graphic card supports, if your CPU also supports, then definitely you can go ahead and connect to another display. So this is the setting for that. And I closed it. I shouldn't have closed it, but anyways, here are your keyboard, mouse, network, all that settings. Sound setting is pretty much same to Ubuntu. You can always, like, as you can see, it's detecting my sound properly. So these are all the customizations available. Now we'll look at one major customization, which is of the terminal. So this is, let me just expand this and run a little neo fetch here. So this is our screen fetch for BOSS Linux, but this is not what you get out of the box. Let me run a tree. Here's just to show you my color scheme actually. So this is what you don't get out of the box. So let me run the neo fetch and show you what you actually get out of the box. So you come to your preferences. This is what you get. Let me just set this as default and the colors. Yeah. So let me restart the terminal. And this is what you get, and I think that is pretty awful. If I run a neo fetch here, I think I get weird. It's pretty simple, so I do not want this. You can always go ahead and customize it. I have my own choice, so I use this. So it's pretty nice for me. It's also easy on the eyes. So these are the customizations available here in BOSS Linux. Now let's go ahead and look at the software bundles available. So the software that is available here is the accessories are your archive manager, your calculator, your screen. Now you see in print screen doesn't work here for some reason, So this is your screenshot taker, which you can take your screenshots. Now coming back to the accessories, the text editor and Vim, I'll talk about that later in the development tools. Talking about the graphics, so you have Blender pre-installed, you have Documents Viewer, your Image Viewer, LibreOffice. I'll talk about that later. Okay, before moving forward, I would like to tell you all the software here is pre-installed except for two software which I installed. The first is the screen recording software and the second is the video editing software. We'll come to that. Now talking about the internet, so you have your Chromium browser, Firefox. For some reason, I don't know why they have included Wireshark. That's something really that should be in penetration testing tools, but anyways, Wireshark is there. Now coming to the Office suite, so you have everything from your Calc, which is your Excel, your Draw, which is your PDF editor, your Impress, which is your PowerPoint, your Writer, which is your Microsoft Word equivalent, whatever. Here's your sound and video. Your Cheese is your webcam accessor. You can always go ahead and access your webcam. Now talking about yes, so this OpenShot is what I downloaded as a video editor. This is my screen recording software. Both of these were not pre-installed. I did install them, but everything else is pre-installed. Here's your sound recorder, here's your video player, and VLC comes pre-installed. Okay, VLC comes pre-installed. And here are your administrative tools, your system monitor, your terminal, your Synaptic Package Manager. Actually, Aptitude Package Manager works here, so I don't know why do you need Synaptic, but it's there. And here are your users and groups. In your preferences, it's basically all the settings, the shortcuts of all the settings, and here are the places you can visit to store your files. So these are the software bundle available here in BOSS Linux. Now let's open up a terminal and talk about the development tools available. So in most Linux distributions, we usually have the built-in essentials previously installed, which have the C and C++ compilers. So let's go ahead and check for GCC version. Let's check for GCC. So we have GCC, which means G++ should also be installed. So yes, G++ is installed. Now one thing other than C and C++ compilers that usually is present is Python. So let's check for Python, and we should have Python version 2, and we should also have Python version 3. So both Python version 2 and 3 are installed. Talking about the text editors, so we have Vim, right? We have Vim version 8 here, and we also have Nano. So we have Nano version here. Let's take a look at the bash shell that is available here. So we have bash 5.0.3 available here. So these are the development tools available pre-installed. Anything else that you want, be it via the CLI or be it having a GUI interface, I think you have to install it. So I think that isn't a problematic scenario, because most other distributions which are famous have pretty much all this installed as well, and all the extra things you have to go ahead and install it yourself. So this is what we have. So I think we have already covered the 5 areas of review. So now I would like to have a see off. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please comment down in the description, would you like to give a chance to BOSS Linux? Would you like to go ahead and download it? And would you like to contribute to the source code, because it is open source? And if you do, please do tell me in the description. If you like the video, please go ahead and subscribe, because I'll be reviewing more of such distributions. And please also do like the video. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please have a nice day.